So think about this for a second. What if the reason you abandoned your last big New Year's resolution by like week 3 had absolutely nothing to do with your willpower?
Right.
Like, what if trying harder or grinding it out and just putting in more effort are actually the exact reasons you keep falling short?
Yeah, which completely flies in the face of literally everything we're taught about success, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've been conditioned to believe that goal setting is this brute force mathematical equation.
Oh, for sure. Just put your head down and push.
Exactly. Like if you just input enough sweat and discipline, the results will inevitably just spit out the other side.
But then reality hits. You buy that expensive leather-bound planner, it gathers dust on your nightstand, and you slide right back into your old routine. So today we're taking a deep dive into a singular and honestly a fascinating source that completely flips this script.
It really does.
It's a blog post titled Transform Your Goal Setting Success Today. And the author, who goes by the handle chillstar08, has a very specific, intriguing profile. She describes herself as a wife, a mom, a grandmother, and a faceless digital freedom and travel lifestyle coach.
Yeah, and that combination of roles, I think, really sets the stage for a highly pragmatic, zero-fluff approach.
Totally.
She isn't writing from this detached perspective of, a billionaire tech CEO who has a staff of 20 managing their daily life. She's coming at this from the angle of building everyday wealth and freedom using digital tools, automation, and most importantly, this severe psychological shift.
Right, and our mission for you today is to figure out exactly why traditional goal setting so often ends in that week 3 burnout. And we want to explore this radical alternative framework she presents. It's a model that takes the focus completely off trying to achieve something and puts it entirely on becoming someone new.
That shift is huge.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the core problem identified right at the start of this text is what she calls the fundamental mismatch between our ambitious goals and our underlying identity.
Yeah, she calls out that mismatch immediately. If you're tired of, like, hyping yourself up every Sunday night only to watch your motivation just fizzle out by Wednesday, she argues that frustration is actually your wake-up call.
It's a feature, not a bug.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The problem isn't that your goals are too big. And it's not that you're fundamentally lazy or you're lacking discipline. The problem is that your identity hasn't changed to support the goal.
Okay, but I have to play devil's advocate here for a second. We are taught from kindergarten to worship effort.
Oh, absolutely.
The whole hustle culture mantra is just everywhere. If someone listening wants to lose 20 pounds or, build a 6-figure income from their kitchen table, isn't grinding and trying harder exactly what they need to do?
You would think so, based on what we're told.
Right. I mean, looking at her argument is setting a massive new goal without changing your identity. Essentially like trying to install a cutting-edge app on a completely outdated, incompatible operating system.
That is a perfect way to put it. The hardware literally won't recognize the code. You're trying to run this next-generation software, this massive new goal, on an internal operating system that's still programmed for your old habits.
It just crashes.
It crashes. The gap between who you think you are and who you want to be is the exact place where goals go to die. The industrial system taught us that success is all about the hustle. We're conditioned to, set bigger targets, work longer hours, and just push through the exhaustion.
And we wear that exhaustion like a badge of honor, don't we? It's almost like if we aren't suffering a little bit, we feel like we don't deserve the goal.
Yeah, we treat suffering as the currency for achievement. But all that does is force you to white-knuckle your way through a new routine.
Yeah.
You're relying entirely on willpower, which, and we know this from a cognitive standpoint, is a finite resource.
It burns out.
Right, it's like a battery. What happens when life inevitably hits? Your kid gets sick, your boss hands you a massive project, your energy just naturally dips. Because you haven't changed your underlying operating system, your willpower battery drains to zero, and the old you quietly takes back the wheel.
Wow. And she calls it falling off. But she makes a really sharp observation here. She notes that in reality, you didn't fall off anything. You just returned to your real standard, the standard you actually live by, not the aspirational one you wrote down on January 1st.
Yeah, effort without identity alignment is fundamentally exhausting.
Yeah.
You are constantly trying to outrun your own mindset. What's fascinating here is the psychological distinction she draws between the concept of trying and the concept of becoming.
Right.
They sound similar, but cognitively they produce completely different behaviors.
So let's dig deeply into that distinction. We use the word trying all the time in everyday conversation, like I'm trying to eat better or I'm trying to save money this month. It sounds positive. It sounds like you're making an effort.
It sounds positive, yeah. But psychologically, trying keeps you in a state of limbo. It's the language of someone who actually hasn't made a firm, irrevocable decision yet.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right. When you tell yourself or others that you are trying, you are subconsciously leaving this soft door open for your old self to walk right back through. It's a built-in escape hatch.
Like, hey, don't blame me. I tried.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you fail, well, you were only trying. Becoming, on the other hand, slams that door completely shut. Becoming is a definitive statement of identity. It says, this is who I am now, and my actions will simply catch up as I live it out.
So if trying harder is this flawed, outdated operating system that leaves the escape hatch open, what is the upgrade? Like, how do we fix the code? This leads us straight into one of the most compelling ideas in the source material, the concept of the sovereign standard.
Yes.
And she brings this abstract idea down to earth with a highly specific, incredibly memorable analogy. She calls it the electrician's logic.
It's a phenomenal way to visualize what a standard actually is versus what a goal is.
Yeah, she says, think about an electrician on a construction site. They don't just haphazardly wire a house, flip the breaker switch, and cross their fingers hoping the circuit works.
That would be terrifying.
Right. They don't set a goal that the house won't burn down. They build strictly to the National Electrical Code. That code isn't a suggestion. It isn't something they try to hit if they're feeling motivated that morning. It is the absolute baseline rule. So what does this all mean? How do you actually apply a rigid, non-negotiable code to your own messy, unpredictable life?
Well, it requires a fundamental shift in what you're willing to tolerate from yourself. The author contrasts this sovereign standard with something she calls the Sunday pit.
Oh, the Sunday pit.
Yeah, you know that feeling. It's that low hum of dread, that feeling of chaos or anxiety about the week ahead that many people just accept as a normal part of adulthood. A goal asks, what do I want to achieve to escape this pit? But a sovereign standard asks a much deeper question. It asks, what kind of person am I willing to be every single day, no matter what?
It's the difference between a wish list and an internal law. A goal is something out there in the future you hope to grab. An internal law is who you are right now, in this exact second.
Let's apply this to the health example you brought up earlier. If you have a goal that says, I want to get healthy, you are setting yourself up for constant negotiation.
Yep.
At 6 a.m., when the alarm goes off and it's freezing outside, your brain will start debating whether you really need to work out today. A sovereign standard, however, is an identity statement. It sounds like this. I am the kind of person who honors my body.
And if you genuinely believe you're the kind of person who honors your body, that 6:00 a.m. debate doesn't even happen. You don't negotiate with your tiredness because hitting the snooze button would violate your internal electrical code.
The debate completely vanishes. Showing up becomes simply who you are. It's the floor you refuse to drop below. So for you listening right now, think about your own baseline. When you are totally exhausted, when you're stressed out from work, or when you are terrified of taking a financial risk, what is the floor you absolutely refuse to drop below? What is your current code?
Man, that's a heavy, almost uncomfortable question to ask yourself. Because I think if we're really honest, a lot of us realize our floor is much lower than we'd like to admit.
Definitely.
Our floor might be entirely dependent on whether we had a good cup of coffee that morning or what mood we just happened to wake up in.
And that variable floor is exactly why our goals are failing. If your baseline standard is to tolerate chaos, to tolerate the Sunday pit, no future goal is ever going to save you. You'll always revert to your baseline under pressure.
Okay, understanding the sovereign standard makes perfect logical sense. I get why the electrician's code works, but how do you actually wire it into reality? How do I, as a listener, build that national electrical code for my life today without slipping backward into those old, comfortable habits?
Right, the application.
Yeah, this brings us to the actual mechanics of becoming and the specific tools she outlines in her ecosystem. The source references episode 12 of Monday Mind Shift, a playlist, and the overarching Chillstar '08 series. But the anchor of all of this, the foundational document, is something called the Chillstar Creed. Specifically, she notes it's on version 34.0.
And you know, the fact that it's on version 34 is a massive clue to how this works. It implies this is a living, evolving document. It's not just a dusty poster hanging in a corporate break room. It's something she actively refines as her identity expands.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Listen to the specific phrasing from this creed. It says, I release what was. The endless chasing is burned. I embrace what is becoming. I am the architect of a softer life.
Every single word there is chosen to engineer a psychological shift. It's a declaration of sovereignty. She explicitly states that this isn't some cute, fluffy affirmation you just repeat half-heartedly while brushing your teeth.
No, it feels weighty.
It's a line drawn in the sand. Neurobiologically speaking, when you make a firm declaration like the endless chasing is burned, you are forcing your brain to reconcile its self-image. You're creating cognitive dissonance with your old, stressed-out habits. It's designed to call you out on your old excuses and call you up to your new standards simultaneously.
But she's very clear that you can't just recite this creed in your bathroom mirror and expect your whole life to magically change. You need the right environment to reinforce the code. She talks extensively about her inner circle community. Why is the community aspect so critical to this identity shift? If the standard is internal, why do I need other people?
Because trying to fundamentally rewire your identity in isolation is a setup for failure. Humans are incredibly social creatures. Our nervous systems are designed to co-regulate with the people around us.
We want to fit in.
Exactly. You can absolutely try to shift your mindset alone, but if you go back into an environment surrounded by people who are comfortable staying stuck, people who constantly complain about the Sunday pit but never change it, their baseline is going to constantly pull you backward. Your environment will always win out over your willpower.
So if your environment doesn't match your new standard, you essentially have to upgrade the environment or risk losing the standard entirely.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about the power of witnessing other people embodying their standards. When you are in an inner circle and you see others refusing to play small, refusing to recycle their excuses, your nervous system actually learns what's possible.
Wow, yeah.
The right environment doesn't coddle your excuses. It doesn't pat you on the back when you fail to meet your own code. It mirrors back your power. This is how you transition from being a passive consumer, someone who just reacts to whatever chaos the day throws at them, into what she calls a stewardship architect.
A stewardship architect. That's quite a phrase. Let's strip away the jargon for a second. What does being a stewardship architect actually mean for my average Tuesday morning?
It means you are no longer a victim of your schedule. An architect doesn't hope a building stands up. They design the load-bearing walls. As a stewardship architect, you are actively designing and enforcing your environment, your boundaries, and your daily actions. You're leading yourself with calm, deliberate power instead of frantic, anxious effort.
So let's move from this high-level understanding of creeds and communities down to the immediate granular steps.
Yeah.
How does someone listening to this deep dive right now actually become a stewardship architect today?
There's a clear path.
Yeah, the source provides a very clear 3-step real-world blueprint. Step 1, pick one single area that matters to you right now. Health, money, relationships, creative work. Step 2, write your standard as an identity statement. Again, using the phrase, I am the person who, rather than I will try to. And step 3, act from it decisively just once today.
Notice it says just once. Not perfectly for the rest of the week, but decisively right now. Because that single, immediate act proves to your brain that this isn't just another wishful thought.
It builds trust with yourself.
Yeah, it sends a clear, undeniable neurological signal that the operating system is genuinely changing.
It provides the brain with hard evidence like, look, we just did this. This is who we are now. But I want to look at how the author actually applies this philosophy to her own business model because it really grounds this whole concept. It shows what happens when the rubber meets the road.
Looking at her business provides the perfect context for how these AdFrac standards become tangible realities. Objectively speaking, ChillStar08 uses this exact standard-setting methodology to promote financial and location freedom for her audience. She points them toward her Legacy Builder program.
And the text explicitly notes the investment levels for this program. It ranges from $100 up to $1,400, operating alongside various digital products and automation tools. Why highlight the specific monetary investment in an article about mindset?
Because financial investment is one of the most powerful mechanisms for forcing an identity shift. It creates instant skin in the game.
Oh, I see.
When someone invests $1,400 into a program, there's a profound psychological shift that occurs. They aren't just buying a PDF or a set of video modules. They are creating a massive barrier to entry for their old excuses. It's a real-world example of turning a vague wish for financial freedom into what she calls an automated baseline.
So the money acts as the enforcement mechanism. It forces you to show up.
Exactly. She's positioning these tools, the done-for-you systems, the master resale rights, as the literal infrastructure needed to uphold that new sovereign standard. She's not just selling a course, she's selling the blueprint to prioritize family, peace, and travel without the constant hustle.
She's essentially saying, if your new internal code dictates that you are a person with digital and financial freedom, here are the actual copper wires and breaker boxes you need to install in your house to make the lights turn on.
This raises an important question for you, the listener, right now. Regardless of whether you are trying to build an online business, trying to get your health in order, or trying to improve a failing relationship, you have to look at your life and ask yourself, what does the version of you who already lives your desired life do today?
Today.
Not tomorrow, not next Monday when you're feeling more motivated. Today.
That question is the ultimate excuse killer. Because if the version of me who already runs a wildly successful automated business wakes up and immediately handles the most difficult task, then I can't negotiate with myself about scrolling on my phone for another hour. My identity has already decided my action. The choice was made before I even woke up.
And the moment you claim that I am, your brain starts actively searching your environment for ways to prove you right. You completely stop begging yourself to change. You stop relying on willpower, and you simply let your daily behavior rise to meet the standard you've set in stone.
It's a profoundly different way of moving through the world. So, to wrap up today's deep dive, the core takeaway from this source is undeniable. Your goals are failing by week 3 because you're treating them as optional experiments.
Yeah, as suggestions.
You're treating them as nice-to-haves rather than non-negotiable extensions of your core identity. To actually succeed, you must establish your sovereign code. You have to lower your baseline to peace, stop negotiating with your own greatness in the morning, and make the total uncompromising shift from trying to becoming.
It's really about engineering your life so that success isn't a target you're constantly straining to hit, but rather an inevitable, automatic byproduct of who you already are.
But I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over as you go about the rest of your day, building completely on this premise. The Chillstar Creed explicitly talks about burning the endless chasing. It talks about moving into a softer life where your actions naturally and easily meet your sovereign standard. But think about this for a second. If you truly eliminate the chase, if success just becomes a non-negotiable, automated byproduct of your identity, what happens to the thrill of ambition? If you're no longer grinding and white-knuckling your way toward a goal, does stepping into your absolute sovereignty mean the end of excitement as you know it? Or does it unlock a completely different, calmer type of power that you've never even experienced before? Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. Now go take that one decisive action today. Prove to yourself exactly who you are becoming.